everybody, so here's Sega Black again. I'm not at my best as you can see, but I'm gonna play Marilyn Monroe on this one. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. So this is how I'm gonna play this one. Anyway, question that I was asked, how do you, can you grow the mobilize function? Can you do something about it? I just found out, because I hadn't been checking this kind of stuff for a while, that what we used to refer to as mobilize function is now called the activating function. It was always called that way. It's not like a new thing. But I see some confusion because Vicky Soshin gives a second name to the vulnerable function, the mobilizing function. I don't know if it's typo or something like that, but just for the sake of not getting wrong or mixed up about things, we're going to call the function we're talking about the activating function. When I'm talking about the activating function, we're talking about the function on which our self-esteem depends. So when we succeed in the activating function, we feel better about ourselves. When we fail at the activating function, we feel worse about ourselves. It does not all depend on that one. There's other functions that play a role in that. For example, the activating function is the opposite of the vulnerable function. So if you are, for example, introvert thinking, activating, you're going to be extrovert thinking, vulnerable. So it means that the two sides of the coin are opposed to each other. One side of the coin makes you happy, the other side of the coin makes you feel sad and miserable. So you have to pay attention to that. You have to have very clear in mind how things work. When we're talking about activating function being like, for example, let me check the sixth function. We're talking about the model A in socionics. If you're talking MBTI and you're looking into the function in MBTI, you're talking about the third function in the order. So dominant, secondary, third function. That's what we're talking about. Tertiary function. That's what it's called. I haven't been looking into MBTI for such a long time. I still remember what I used to. And yeah, it's been like months. I haven't looked into that. Anyway, back to our activating function. Is it possible to grow the activating function? Yes. Am I going to tell you how? I had done a very long video where I was going into detail on how to do that, but then I thought that's not really a good idea. It's not because, well, the point is this. Most of the time, we're wrong about ourselves. That's it. Most of the time, we're wrong about ourselves. We're not born knowing who we are. We do not grow knowing who we are. We grow hearing what others think we are. We grow thinking that what others say we are is true about us. We grow being told a certain amount of things that most of the time are projections of others onto us, and that works for everyone. So you're doing the same to your mother if your mother is doing that to you. So that's basically how it works. It's not like others are these monsters that are destroying you, poor thing. You are one of the monsters destroying someone else that is the poor thing. And so we are all monsters and we are all victims. So that's being victims of how our society works and of ignorance. Ignorance in terms of ignoring ourselves. That's basically the main issue. So, my first advice about growing your activating function is first figure out who the hell you are. And do not take for granted, like, oh, I know who I am because I'm this and this and that, because that means you have no fucking clue. If you know for a fact and you are absolutely certain about everything about yourself, you know nothing about yourself. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Zero. If you start Path of Personal Growth, if you start working on yourself, trying to figure out who you are and really looking into yourself, you'll start seeing a bunch of things. First, there's who you are, who you want to be, and who others think you are. Then there's who you show others. And there's a lot of other yous out there, because every person you meet is going to see you a different way. So there's like one version of you for every person you'll ever meet. How are you gonna handle that? Oh my god, it's impossible to figure myself out. No, it is possible to figure yourself out by main traits. Most of the time, I do this thing. But then the moment you say that, you're going to find out that you're actually doing the opposite. So, am I doing the opposite because I said I did this, or what the hell is happening? There's no such a thing as knowing yourself 100%. And growing and getting to know yourself means to learn that you have to coexist with doubt. Coexisting with doubt is the basis of developed, grown, and strong personality. The moment you figure out that there is no such a thing as defining yourself 100%, you start looking for details. So I know this thing about myself and I know this other thing. Like, for example, I know I am extremely diplomatic. I am extremely diplomatic, but I'm also extremely straightforward and extremely honest. So what does it mean? It means that if you ask a lot of people out there, especially people I blocked on internet, they're gonna tell you that I'm anything but diplomatic. And I myself recognize that they are fucking right. Because when I am having to do with someone that is trampling on my feet and disrespecting me, they're gonna hear what I have to say, and diplomacy is gonna go out the window in the blink of an eye. Otherwise, I'm an extremely diplomatic person who enjoys being kind to others and telling things in the softest way she can. That's who I am. Both things are true about me for reasons. But if I had to describe myself, diplomatic is one of my main traits. That's one example. So how are you going to define that until you have given that a thought? You can't. So telling you, oh yeah, you're probably right about your type, but you're not so sure, and explaining to you how to actually develop your mobilized function, that would be a big disservice to you, honestly, and I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to say is it possible to develop your activating function? Yes, it is possible to develop your activating function. It is possible to develop your suggestive function. It is possible to learn how to cope with your vulnerable function. It is possible to grow and to become a better person. It is possible to become a better version of yourself. That's possible. How do you do that? Start learning about yourself. Stop there. Start analyzing yourself. Start trying to figure out what makes you feel bad and why. It's not really about knowing exactly what type you are and go around bragging about who you are through that type. Typology should help us figure ourselves out. That's why I stopped saying what type I think I am in that specific moment. First of all, Jung used to say that our type can develop in life. It can change. So why would it be a problem if today I'm saying that I'm an INFJ and tomorrow I'm saying I'm an ESTJ? Who the fucking cares? Second, it's about you. It's not about anyone else. Your type is about you. You want to know everybody else's type, you try to figure out everybody else's type. It's not about typing them specifically and precisely and getting the right type. Oh, you are this kind of type. Who the fucking cares? What you need to know is if they have a trait that clashes with your personality. And that you learn over time by analyzing yourself. And that's where socionics can help you. That's where my videos can help you. You know, for example, that ISFPs tend to be extremely assertive about their way of seeing what is appropriate and what is not. If that kind of attitude does not resonate with you, that you are an ENTP, or that you are an ESTP, or an INFJ or an ISFJ, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you found a person that is doing something that you know does not work with you. So you take your distance. You find a way to handle your life around that person. You either exclude them, you try to reduce things to a minimum, you avoid getting angry because of that thing because you know it's a trait of the personality that clashes with you. So you learn how to cope with life, and socionics gives you a basis from which to start to figure out how people may think, what traits are out there, what the main traits of personality can be, what you can figure out about yourself. Am I an extrovert thinker? Am I an introverted thinker? What do I give priority to? Is it more important to me that I understand things a certain way, the way that I think things work? Or is it more important to me what experts say about this, what others think, and the general idea about this concept? What do I rely on? Is it culture or knowledge? Is it my personal view of the world and how I think it's going to be? That you make your idea, build your idea of the world according to what you study, or that you base your idea of the world on what you've been studying, it doesn't really matter. That's a nuance that you can work on in a second time. For example, I can tell you very clearly, I am a culture person. I'm knowledge oriented. Do I have my view of the world? Obviously. Obviously, we all do. But figuring out which one is stronger and why in yourself, that's what you need to do to become a stronger person. That's specifically other traits. But figuring out your type should be the final goal, not the starting point. And that's why I'm so against telling you how to develop each function. Because the moment you figure out that that function is actually your third function or your activating function, you should have already developed that. Does duality help in that? Yes. But you need first to learn how to recognize who makes you go out of your comfort zone the way you need and who is actually destroying you. Because listening to everyone who tells you, oh, you should do this, you should do that, and you're wrong about this, this sucks about you, and stuff like that, that's going to destroy you. So learn to split people. Learn what you truly need. Learn what pushes you out of your comfort zone without making you feel like you're complete trash and you do not deserve leaving. Because last thing I'm going to tell you is this. Indeterminacy is one of the worst things in life. Knowing that we're slapped on this earth in this specific circumstance and we can do nothing about it. Whether you're born rich or poor, wherever you are, you do not choose that. But that's also your biggest strength because you did not ask for it. You happen to be here. So that means that you have a right to be there because you're not imposing that on anyone. You have a right to exist. And having a right to exist, you have a right to be who you are. So this is everything I have about this topic. I hope it helped, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.